Welcome to Sylvan Emporium, where we're doing our I almost said tech talk of Kraum Ludwig's Opus with the partner of Tymna the Weaver. This is normally a CDH combo of Blue Farm, but we didn't go CDH. We went pure jank on this. So with Kraum, it's whenever an opponent draws their second card, you draw a card. And then, of course, Tymna is beginning of your in pros combat main phase. You can pay X life, where X is the number of opponents who are dealt combat damage this turn. If you do, draw X cards. And she has lifelink, as well as Crom having flying and haste. These are more of a vehicle for the colors of my deck, as well as just good commanders in upon themselves. So as we start all of our decks, our deck techs, we start with our lands. So our land base is 34 lands. We have 10 non-basic lands: Godless Shrine, Isolated Chapel, Glacial Fortress, Clifftop Retreat, Sulphur Falls, Drowned Catacombs, Dragon Skull Summit, Ominous Cemetery, Volatile Fault, and Field of Ruin. And then we have our basic lands. So we have 5 mountains, 10 islands, 7 swamps, 7 swamps, and then 2 plains. So that's our suite of lands for this deck. So the point of this deck is to make your opponents shuffle. It is shuffle tribal, so it's kind of janky. It's kind of fun from concept. I've never actually played it against anyone, and this is my anti-spell table deck, so I can literally never really play this game or this deck on spell table because it does so much to your opponent's decks. So we're going to start with our ramp package. So our ramp package is 5. We have a good old Arcane Signet, a Soul Ring, a Chromatic Lantern for land fixing, Font of Magic, just because we can reduce our instant sorceries for each time we cast our commanders, and then Urza, Lord Protector, to reduce our artifacts, instants, and sorcery spells. So that's our ramp package. Then we have what I like to refer to as our hate package. So we have 2 pieces of graveyard hates. We have extirpate, extirpate, or extirpate, that is it, and surgical extraction. Now, Commander is a singleton format, so you might be like, well, why are you running cards that let you select a card and then search an opponent's graveyard, hand, or library for cards with the same name? The fact of the matter is the last piece says, then that player shuffles. So it is literally there for making people shuffle. Plus, you get to see what's in their deck. So then we have our creature hate. So we have 3 pieces of targeted creature hate with polymorph. Lets them get a creature back, of course. Transmogrify, which exiles a creature and then lets them get a creature back. And then Blessed Reincarnation, which again does the same thing. Exile target opponent creature, and then they reveal cards until they hit a creature, and then that's the creature they get. So it's a random chance that they could get something good, but it's also a targeted removal or exile for the most part. And then we run Life's Finale, so destroy all creatures, then search opponent's library for 3 creatures, put them in the graveyard. The nice thing is on the end of all of those, again, if you didn't know, they shuffle their library. So we have our counter magic with Spell Shift. So counter instant or sorcery reveals cards on top of the library until they reveal an instant or sorcery. They can play that without paying its mana cost. Then they shuffle. And then Test for Talents, counter target instant or sorcery, searching for the any cards with the same name. Then that player shuffles and draws a card for each card exiled this way. So again, the whole point of that is to make them shuffle. So that's our hate package. Our next one is probably the largest package in the deck. And if you haven't gotten the memo as of yet. It is our shuffle package. So we have 22 cards in our shuffle package. We're going to start that out with Soldier of Fortune. Soldier of Fortune just lets you tap a red and tap them to make target players shuffle their library. Boggart Forager does the same thing, but you sacrifice Boggart Forager. Prophecy is a pretty fun card. Reveal the top card of an opponent's library to all players. If it's a land, gain a life. Then they shuffle library and you draw a card. Lantern of Insight. Everybody plays with the top card of the library revealed, and then you can sacrifice it to make a player shuffle their library. Blink is a pretty fun enchantment because you choose a creature, they shuffle in their library, then they investigate. I don't really care about the last two pieces of it, but it's mainly making a target creature shuffle into the library and then investigate. As well as This Is How It Ends does the same thing. So, and then it can do it twice unless they want to lose 5 life. This Zioa's Justice. Again, artifact or creature with mana value 1 or greater shuffles into their library, and then they discover X, where X is the mana value. Audacious Swap, that is. Again, they shuffle into their library. They put it on the land if it's a battlefield. Otherwise, they can cast it. Shape of Anew actually lets you sacrifice your own artifact to reveal until you hit an artifact. I really wouldn't do that, but I would do it to a Soul Ring, just because it's kind of funny. But again, they shuffle their library. Guthrie Writes History is just a mass Chaos Warp for everybody. Oblation, again, shuffle a permanent into their library. They draw 2 cards. Look, it's Chaos Warp. Perish the Thought is a fun card. So target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a card, and they shuffle it into their library. Reminisce. Target player shuffles the graveyard into the library. Same with Stream of Consciousness. Clear the Mind. Mnemonic Nexus does it for everyone. Quest for the Ancient Secrets. You remove 5 quest counters. If a card is put in the graveyard from anywhere, you put a quest counter on it. And Days Undoing. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into the library and draw 7 cards. So you can get your stuff back with shuffling your graveyard into the library, or you can just make someone shuffle their graveyard into their library. Same with Cranial Archive, Witness the Future, which is up to 4 target cards in the graveyard into the library, and then you can actually look at the top 4 cards of your library and put one into your hand and the rest of the bottom of your library. And then Learn from the Past lets you do that and then draw a card. So that is our 22 cards of making people shuffle. Now, I know what you're thinking, or might be thinking, is why are you just making people shuffle? Well, there are shuffle payoffs. So the shuffle payoffs, Widespread Panic is a spell ability causes its controller to shuffle. They put the card from their hand on top of their library. That's if they have something that makes them shuffle their deck, not my targeted piece to it. But it's still nice if someone's using fetches or tutors. They have to put a card back in. More so, Psychic Surgery, though. Whenever opponents shuffle his or her library, you can look at the top 2 cards of their library, exile one of those, and put the other one back on top. So a nice control piece. And then the whole point of this deck is Psychogenic Probe. Whenever a spell ability causes a player to shuffle their library, it does 2 damage to him or her. So that's the payoffs for making people shuffle. So how do we get those payoffs? Well, we do it with tutors. There's not a lot of tutors in this deck, but there are a few. So we got Diabolic Tutor because it's cost effective and is not something I want to spend money on. Scheming Symmetry lets you choose 2 people or yourself and another person, and of course makes them shuffle and does that. Fabricate just lets you go get the Psychogenic Probe. Tribute Mage, again, lets you get the Psychogenic Probe. Noble Benefactor is cannon fodder that lets everybody go search for a card, but it lets you go search what you want. And then for a little bit of ramp, especially against those massive ramp decks, you have Scholarship Sponsor, which you can get a bunch of land, and so can your opponents when it comes into play if somebody's running a lot of ramp. So yay green. Our next piece is Theft. So this is the second biggest part of the deck, and it is 16 cards. So Theft is another piece that makes them shuffle, but it lets us have the payoff of, for example, Inevitable Betrayal. Search for an opponent's library for a creature card, put it into the battlefield under your control. They shuffle. Praetor's Grasp lets you search their library for a card, exile it face down, and then you can play it, and then they shuffle. Slaughter Games lets you search for name a non-land card, search an opponent's library, and then exile it, they shuffle. Sacrifice Grinning Totem, which Grinning Totem lets you search for an opponent's library, remove it, exile a card, and then play it if you want to. Sadistic Sacrament, search for opponent's library for 3 cards, exile them, and then they shuffle. Kick it to make it so it's 15 cards. Hide and Seek. Hide is a pretty fun piece where you can put an artifact or enchantment on the bottom of its owner's library, or Seek, where you can just search an opponent's library for a card, remove it from the game, and then gain life equal to its converted mana cost. They shuffle. Infinite Obliteration. Name a creature, search opponent's graveyard, hand, and library, and then they shuffle. Acquire. Search for an artifact, and then they shuffle. Bitter Ordeal. Search a player's library for a card, remove it from the game, and then they shuffle. And a Grave Storm, of course, that's for every permanent that is put into the graveyard. After you cast this spell, you copy it. Jester's Cap, again, search for 3 cards, remove them from the game. They shuffle. Bribery, search for a creature card, put it in your play under your control. They shuffle. Ancient Vendetta, that's actually a pretty mean card if you are running against a monocolor deck or any deck with lands, because you can name lands. So if someone's running mountains or forests or any land basic type, you can name that basic land type and search their hand, library, and graveyard for up to 4 cards with that name, and then remove them from the game. It's pretty mean. Shimmying Spirit Guide. When it does combat damage to a player, they reveal their hand. Choose a non-land card, search their graveyard for the card with the same name, remove from the game. They shuffle. Dispossess. Choose an artifact card name, search their graveyard, land, and hand, and library, exile them, and then they shuffle. And then Mind Blaze. Name a non-land card with a number greater, and choose a number greater than 0. Reveals their library. Library contains the exact name or number of the chosen card. It does 8 damage to that player. That's just a fun one because you know what's in their deck by that time. And it does 8 damage. So finally, we have my bracket that I call Other. It just is, cards that I didn't have a whole bunch of, spots for, or, they didn't really fit into it. So a Ghostly Prison, so it's a stacks card for us to be able to make it so they can't attack us or they have to pay. Even Mind Sensor, so if they would search, they search for the top 4 cards in their library instead. Umbrus, the Fear Manifest. We're exiling a bunch of cards, so it just makes it a big beater for us. And then 2 of my favorite cards, just to run, that are just chaotic and fun. So we have Synthesis Pod, so whenever you cast a spell, you exile a spell that you control, and then they reveal cards from the top of their library until they reveal a mana cost equal to 1 plus the exiled spell's mana value. You exile that card, and then that player shuffles, and then you can cast it without paying its mana cost. It's just fun. And on top of that, Wand of Wonder. So again, roll a d20. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery, then shuffle the rest into the library. You can cast up to X instant sorceries from them without paying their mana cost. So you can do that up to 3 times. So that's my janky spin on Kraum and Tymna. So let me know what you think. This is only a bracket 2 deck. It's not anything except for janky fun. So, of course, like, share, subscribe, and let us know what you think. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.